Hi guys, Jane here, and today I'm reviewing the book Your First 1,000 Copies by Tim Grahl. And this book is a nonfiction book for authors about selling your first 1,000 copies of books. Now, I've been an author for about 5 years, and I've probably sold 1,000 copies overall, but it's not something I've done, I think, for any single book. So, this book gives some marketing tips, but it's mostly actually focused on things that are not specific, not like go to this website, do this, but things like how to approach people and, ways to kind of communicate with people in a professional manner and get the best results. I'm going to give this book a 4 out of 5. I thought a lot of the information in it was really, really good, but it was also nothing so groundbreaking that it blew my mind or changed my world. It was good, it was interesting, and I definitely think it can help writers sell books. And it's great about ways to approach people and kind of a different mindset when it comes to marketing. So I really enjoyed that about this book, and I did think that if you've never read any books before about marketing, this is a good one to start with. If you're a new writer and just like first, second book, this is worth it. Absolutely worth it. If you've been in the industry for a while, it's worth it, but maybe a little bit less. Especially if you've been paying a lot of attention to how to approach people, the kind of things to ask, who to ask. But there's some really cool strategies in here, and I definitely would recommend it. I am gonna go ahead and spoil a couple things now, so if anybody doesn't want it spoiled, which I think with a nonfiction book, I feel like you can't do that. I feel like it's not a big deal. But I wanted to kind of share the big pearl of wisdom for me, so if you don't want to hear what I thought was most valuable in this book, go ahead and click off. Alright, so there were a couple things that Tim said in this book that I really took to heart and I wanted to share with you. And number one was being helpful. Like, instead of focusing on selling books, focus on being helpful. Don't look at it as like, I want you to buy my book, but focus on how can I help you. And, as a content creator, we want to create books that people can enjoy. We want to be the thing that helps people escape from their tired, exhausted, sometimes miserable lives. I mean, I want to give people 8 hours of vicarious pleasure reading my books. I'm a romance writer. I want the people who are single to be able to pretend for a little while that love is amazing and perfect and that everybody gets a happily ever after. I want people who've been heartbroken to believe in love. That's what we're selling. We're not selling a book, and we shouldn't be focused on, I want people to buy my book so I can earn money and pay the rent, even though that is the other side of the transaction and it has to happen too. So I thought Tim was really interesting in saying that, you need to be focusing on what you're giving and what's in people's best interest and the service you're offering and being as helpful as you can. Another thing he said, and this probably makes more sense for nonfiction authors than fiction authors, is to give away a lot for free. Basically, he says that you want to give away a ton so that people will want to follow you, will be invested in you. Like, the more times you appear on their radar, the more information you give, the more helpful, again, that helpful thing you can be, then the more people are going to listen to you, and the more people are going to follow you, and the more people are going to buy your books. It's kind of crazy. It's like, you would think that by giving out content, people would be like, well, you've already told me everything, so I don't need to buy your book. But a book is like it's compressed. It's like a quick handy dandy guide type thing. It's different than watching a lot of podcasts. And I thought about what he said and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so true, because there are several podcasters I follow who are also nonfiction writers about writing, and I totally buy their stuff even though I follow their podcast and like probably 50 to 75% of the things that they say on their podcast, are in the book and are in the book or in the podcast. But I still wanted the books. I still want to hear what they have to say, even though they've done podcasts on similar topics. So definitely that was a huge thing for me, that I was like, yeah, that makes sense. If you can give away as much as you can, whatever gets people following you, whatever gets people knowing your name, that's what you want, and that's more important than this sale. Like, one sale is people recognizing your names and being willing to buy lots of books is more important than, whatever you might lose on this book. And for fiction authors, I think, we're giving away first in series and that kind of thing, and it makes sense, but it's probably more valuable for a nonfiction author as far as the give away as much as you can, even if, I think he said he gives away like 90% of the information on podcasts and, in lectures and stuff, and not just in his books. But then he gets people who buy his book anyway, who've been following him and are still happy to have everything. And the last thing that I thought was interesting is kind of a two-parter. Number one, it was approaching people to get help, people who are other authors, asking them for promotion, or people who are influencers. And he said about those that to be sure that you're not just asking, or you probably shouldn't ask at all, the people who are really, really big. Everybody wants to ask the people who are really, really big because they have like the most followers and the most influence, but they get asked all the time for help. Whereas if you're contacting somebody who's kind of on your level or, mid-range, they don't get asked for help as much, so they're going to be much more likely to help you. And then also, when they become big, you'll already be friends with them, kind of deal. So it's not like you're asking somebody who's way out of your league for help. You're asking somebody who's kind of similar to you, just getting started, being helpful, and they'll probably help you if you ask, because people don't ask them very much, and most people are happy to help. And another part of that was to offer something to them or to do something for them, so that you're not just going to them and being like, here's what I need. So he said to do things like, I think he said leave a book review of that author's thing, or to share something that they did, but not expect anything back, but use that as kind of a, hey, hi, I really loved your book. I know I shared this with all my friends. I bought copies for my whole book club. Something to make the author like notice you if you're looking for like help, or just to make them look good too. Like, can I say in things like, can I come on your podcast and, and talk and help you out because I've got great information to share with your audience, or can I write a guest blog post, all kinds of stuff that makes their life easier and them excited to work with you, so it feels like you're doing a favor for them and it feels like a win-win. So those were all really good points, I thought, from this book, and it's, like I said, it's really worth picking up, especially if you're newer to this. And I was more expecting very like step-by-step stuff, but this is very evergreen. This is not stuff like, well, here's the search engine optimization algorithm stuff, and here's the best sites for marketing. It wasn't like that. It was very much like, here is the way to approach people, here's a lot of evergreen stuff, and here's ways to kind of just get a good reputation, and a good reputation will help you sell books later on. So I hope you've enjoyed this review. If you've read this book or have any comments about it, go ahead and leave them below. Also, if you've enjoyed this video, like it, and subscribe for more content. Alright guys, this is Jane. Talk to you next time. Bye.